How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word show to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word show, SHOW, to 33777. Text show to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 2.
Hello, America. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, I would be very happy to have you. I want to talk about Never Trump for a moment as a segue into something else, because, you know, people don't realize it, but I actually was the person who popularized the term. I can't say I originated. Actually, here's what happened. Back in 2016, I was actually on a train going from New York to Washington. I was on a book tour, and I'd had enough. I was like, I can't support this guy. Character counts. I'm not a Hillary person. I'll go third party. I won't vote. I don't like any of this. I don't like all sides. And I wrote a piece saying I'm never going to do it, and posted it at redstate.com where I was the editor, and then said, actually, no, I guess I put it on my own site because I had just retired from Red State. And my buddy Aaron texted me and said, use Never Trump. I've seen a couple of people say that. So I did, Never Trump. It exploded. And, you know, over time, he got elected. I was wrong about a lot of the stuff I believed. And in 2020, so you know what? I can support him. And people on the Never Trump side, boy, they got mad at me. People got mad. Now, you know what's so interesting is that there are a lot of Trump supporters. Anytime I criticize him now, there's like, well, you're Never Trump. I supported the guy through 2 election cycles. But, yeah, some people just can't let it go. What I have found interesting, though, is that when you are on the right and you decide you can't support Donald Trump, boy, does the media fawn over you. Think about all these people. I saw a story this morning about a group of former Republicans who are helping a bunch of Democrats get elected in 2026 to contain Donald Trump. None of them are Republicans anymore, but they hide behind the Republican label. They're Republicans against Trump, Never Trump Republicans. You can be a dyed-in-the-wool communist, and they will call you a Republican if you once were and you hate Donald Trump. They fought over you. My Meet the Press experience. I was a regular, had a monthly appointment on Meet the Press, and then announced in 2019 I would be supporting Donald Trump in 2020 and never went back on Meet the Press again. It's been very interesting to see. If I really wanted a media career right now, being dogmatically Never Trump for the right, that can make you some money and it gets you all sorts of attention. But I'm in that weird position where I support a lot of what the president does and criticize some of what the president does. And therefore, nobody wants that. God forbid you actually support his policies but criticize him on occasion and don't support all the policies. Nope, you see, it's got to be all the one or all the other. But the moment you go from being a Trump supporter to I disagree with him and I part ways with him, the media lavishes all sorts of praise on you. Don't they, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's now been on CNN and The View and has a sit-down interview with Leslie Stahl on 60 Minutes.
He did talk about the Epstein files, and he was extremely angry at me that I had signed the discharge petition to release the files. I fully believe that those women deserve everything they're asking. They're asking for all of it to come out. They deserve it. And he was furious with me.
What did he say?
He said that it was going to hurt people. I had asked him, these women are the ones that were hurt. They were raped at 14. They were raped at 16. I watched them stand in front of the press, trembling, their bodies shaking as they were telling their stories, many of them for the first time. And I had told him, I said, you know, you have all kinds of people come in the White House. Have these women come in the White House. These women deserve to be heard.
He said to you, people will get hurt.
People will get hurt. I don't know what that means. I don't know who they are.
You know, she's claiming this, but she knows damn well who they are. There are a lot of innocent people who are named in the grand jury transcripts of people who came into contact with Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, I know this. She knows this. She's not a dumb person. The reason that, for example, what Clay Higgins from Louisiana voted against the legislation was exactly that there will be names that come out and they will be forever vilified and tied to Jeffrey Epstein who are innocent people. Their lives will be ruined because their names will come out. Now, you can disagree and say, nah, people will be able to nuance it, but really? Nobody nuances anything. That was the president's concern. How do I know? Because he said as much. It's not about the perpetrators and the bad guys. It's about the innocent people. And the legislation that Marjorie Taylor Greene advanced made no distinction between the innocent people who were mentioned or not. Mike Johnson asked the Senate to amend it to be able to allow the redaction of innocent names, and they didn't do it. That's what he was talking about. And then she says this.
You know, he did come after you pretty hard. He called you a lunatic, I'm quoting. He said all she does is complain, complain, complain in caps, and then he called you a traitor. So he hit you, whacked you.
Yes, he did this in the same time span where President Trump brought in the al-Qaeda leader that was wanted by the U.S. government, who is now the president of Syria. Then within a week, he brought in the Crown Prince, MBS, who murdered an American journalist. And then he brought in the newly elected Democrat socialist mayor of New York. That was the time span that he called me a traitor.
You decided not to stay and fight.
Now, I want to pause on this. Let's go through the list. She says Donald Trump called her a traitor, and at the same time, he brought in the al-Qaeda leader in Syria. Now, that would actually be the president of Syria, who we now know for years in al-Qaeda was actually a mole for the Central Intelligence Agency in the United States government. You need to – have you heard this? Clearly, Marjorie Taylor Greene has been so busy doing her press interviews, she hasn't heard this. This has now been confirmed by multiple press outlets and others that the leader of Syria, who had been a leader of al-Qaeda, was a mole for the United States Intelligence Agency, allowing the United States to kill the bad guys. Did you know that? Because Marjorie Taylor Greene clearly didn't. She says the president's a traitor for having met with that guy. But wait, then she says he also met with MBS. She can't say Mohammed bin Salman, who she says was who murdered an American citizen. Now, she's talking, of course, about Jamal Khashoggi, who was a member of the Muslim Brotherhood. And actually, there are credible allegations about him being an advocate of the Muslim Brotherhood. And also, you should know that he was born in Turkey and was a Saudi Muslim. And, he lived in the United States. I don't know that he was an American citizen. Two of his kids, of his four kids, are an American citizen. But, is that America first, this Turkish Muslim Brotherhood guy? She just conveniently trying to stick it to President Trump for meeting with the leader of Saudi Arabia, a key ally where we have American bases. And then Mamdani. She wants to imply that the president of the United States is a traitor because he met with the duly lawfully elected mayor-elect of New York City. So follow along with me here in the insane logic of Marjorie Taylor Greene. Meeting with an ally of the United States is bad because that guy had killed a member of the Muslim Brotherhood. But meeting with the elected mayor of New York City, who's an American citizen, is bad in Marjorie Taylor Greene's view. She's not consistent. She has the consistency of an insane asylum. She, by the way, also broke news and said she's not running for further office. She's not interested in being in the Senate. She don't want to be governor. She's not running. She's going to be a podcaster. Let's be clear here. Marjorie Taylor Greene wants to be a podcaster. She might do a TV show with Matt Gaetz. We can call it Pedos in Palestine, and they focus on those sorts of issues. It's amazing that now that she's turned on Donald Trump, the media gives her these sympathetic profiles. Poor Marjorie. Poor Marjorie. Marjorie complained about the death threats her family has gotten, the death threats that Marjorie Taylor Greene has gotten. The president said mean things, and people threatened the lives of her and her family. Marjorie Taylor Greene herself fostered that environment and allowed it to fester and took advantage of it, harnessed it, and defended it until it happened to her. And that's part of the problem with Marjorie Taylor Greene is she lacks empathy for other people. If it happens to her, she's a victim. She's a poor Marjorie. It's always she's a victim. Poor Marjorie. People don't like her because she's a woman. Poor Marjorie. The system is broken and doesn't work. You know, here's the God's honest truth. You talk to Republicans and Democrats alike on Capitol Hill. Marjorie Taylor Greene went to Washington, D.C. and burned every bridge the moment she got there. She couldn't get anything done because Marjorie alienated everyone around her, and now she's lighting the bridge on fire that connected her to the president. She wrecked her marriage. She wrecked her relationships on Capitol Hill. She wrecked her relationship with the president of the United States, and she's decided it's everyone else. It's not her. Marjorie Taylor Greene decided you're the problem, not her. The president's the problem, not her. The Congress is the problem, not her. Everyone else is the problem, not her. Now, how much of a narcissist is she? This is, and then the obsessive desire to now do these fawning, sympathetic portrayals on TV. I've had enough of these people who perform like this. She goes out there, destroys every relationship she's got, and suddenly the common denominator is not her, but everybody else. No. She's just a convenient cudgel now for the media to use to attack the president. She can accuse the president of being a traitor for being president of the United States. The problem is Marjorie has lived in a very protective bubble, and the world is far more complicated than Marjorie Taylor Greene would like it to be. She would prefer for the United States of America to pack up and leave the rest of the world and come home and do nothing with the rest of the world, and the rest of the world doesn't work that way. The world does not work that way. And Marjorie Taylor Greene has decided that the problem is the world, not her. Marjorie Taylor Greene has decided she is the victim. She's always the victim. She's great at playing the perpetual victim. And she'll be a great podcaster, seeding the conspiracy theories that rot people's brains online. And she'll get lots of fortune, I suppose, from her podcast. And hopefully we'll never have to deal with her on the public stage as an elected official again. To become the person she used to criticize. She used to criticize the people who would go on CNN and The View and 60 Minutes and have them fawn over her. And now she's become that person. And her conclusion is, again, that it is them. It's never her. It's never her fault. She's never held accountable because it's always someone else's fault. So she'll go attack the president and attack the Republicans and attack the dysfunction in Congress and just forget about how she burned every relationship, burned every bridge, alienated so many people. She couldn't get anything done for her own constituents who had to go to other members of Congress to get help with issues because she was so bad at constituent service, and then to light it all on fire and say, I quit. She's a quitter. She's walking away. And when someone pointed out, just stay there and finish your term, she's like, how dare you tell me to go get in the kitchen? We're not telling you to get in a kitchen, Marjorie. We're telling you to do the job you signed up for, said you were committed to, and now you say, it's so broken, I can't get anything done. Yeah, Marjorie, because you're broken, and you broke the relationships, and no one wants to work with you. This is about you, not anybody else, and to go on television and the media and whine about how mean the president was to you when you profited from the relationship for so long, you benefited. I got no sympathy for you. Hello there, it is Eric Erickson. The phone number, yes, 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program today, I would be happy to have you. Don't forget, text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777. You can get the show notes, the live stream, the 4 Things to Know This Afternoon podcast, all the social media links as well. If you guys on the phones will stand by, I will get your phone call starting with, let's see, who am I going to first? Probably John when we come back. So be patient with me. I've got your phone calls queued up. I've just had a lot to say today. It's been very busy. So I got to just also say that while we're doing the college football playoff stuff, can we get back to just having the bowl games as the bowl games, the Peach Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, the Rose Bowl, instead of the major corporate sponsor brought to you by other corporate sponsor bowl? I remember the good old days when I was a kid. Back in my day, when we had the Sugar Bowl and the Rose Bowl and the Orange Bowl and the Cotton Bowl and the Peach Bowl and all these bowls, the Fiesta Bowl, and now we've got the I'm aggravated by all the corporate sponsor branding stuff, and I realize it's the nature of the beast these days. But I'm also not really opposed to Notre Dame and some of these other teams bailing, because I feel like we have too many bowls. It's not a thinking thing. This actually is a gut reaction feel like we have way too many bowl games as a society anyway. By the way, as someone noted, you do realize if you walked one step forward in the last few days, you had more rushing yards than Alabama had in that SEC championship. Just want to point that out. Americans for Prosperity would love for you to join them at afpvolunteers.com. My friends, they have fantastic opportunities for conservatives to get involved in advancing freedom around this country. From field operations and meetings with groups to keep you informed about policy in your states, to teaching you how to advocate before your state legislature, local government, or even Congress, to teaching you how to knock on the door and explain the issues to your neighbors and get them out to vote. They're very great at building grassroots operations, and they would love to have you engaged in the fight for freedom in the country. You go to afpvolunteer.com today. I'm on their board of advisors. I go around the country doing events with them. They're such a great group, and they've got chapters in every state. They teach you to be engaged. They brief you on the issues so you can just be the most informed person in your circle of friends if that's all you want. You go to afpvolunteer.com and sign up with Americans for Prosperity today. Engage in the fight for common sense conservative reforms across the United States of America. Hello and welcome. It is Eric Erickson here nationwide, coast to coast. That's what nationwide means for those of you in Rio Linda, which is in the listening area, I should note, on KST out in Sacramento. Now, let's go to the phones. John, you're going to be up first. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Eric. Hey, you're obviously a smart guy, and I respect your opinion. So I'd get your opinion if I'm going down the conspiratorial rabbit hole.
All right.
So it seems to me that the point of the far left is to change the political structure of the United States from capitalism to socialism. And if things are going well in society, society's not going to make any big change. But if you can sow chaos within society, then society will consider big changes to its system. So when I look at the policies of the left, it seems like they're designed to sow chaos, from open borders with unlimited immigration, designed to flow to sanctuary cities that have no voter ID requirements for voting, to identity politics, which are designed to divide us against one another, to challenge the basic social norms. Men can have babies, men and women's sports, to create more crime, whether it be $900 you can shoplift and you get out of jail free card, cash as bail. On each individual item may seem nutty on its own.
Okay. I would frame it this way, John. I don't think that it is a willful conspiracy to engage in this stuff. I actually think it is the logical consequence of their beliefs. And it's not that they're trying to manufacture a crisis in this country, although never let a crisis go to waste. They're not trying to manufacture a way to push this country into socialism. They believe in a worldview that is breaking the country, and they had a number of years where they were in leadership implementing policies that they thought were good for the country. And this is why I think we have to thread the needle here. And let me just explain this one for you. And for everybody who might get a little defensive or combative with what I'm saying, follow along with me here. The left has embraced critical theory. We don't talk about critical theory as much as we did a few years ago. Critical theory is a postmodern belief that everyone is a part of a class or group that is defined by race, sex, gender, sexuality, gender identity, disability or non-disability, and the like. And the left's operating structure is governed by critical theory. So they have implemented policies that they believe are good for society based on those policies. And they believe that we will get to the outcomes that are good. So here's my point. John, you believe they're structuring these policies to cause a crisis by which they can implement socialism. We're arriving at the same destination, but from different ways. I believe the left is actually, when they had power under the Biden administration and for a number of years controlled Congress with Joe Biden, that they're deploying policies they think will benefit society, and we will all see how good socialism is. And the net result for all of us is we've arrived at a crisis point. See, you think they've developed a crisis to get us to a point where we can manufacture socialism. I think they've deployed their socialist critical theory thinking, and it has caused the crisis, not because they want to provoke the crisis, but inevitably their policies lead to the crisis. So we're talking about the same thing from different structures, and I think that we should be careful in how we frame this so we don't go down conspiratorial rabbit holes and instead say, look what happens when the left implements their policies. We get inflation, we get a broken economy, and we get high crime, and we get racial and ethnic divisions in this country that did not exist otherwise. And so their policies have actually caused the brokenness in society, and they actually think that brokenness is an improvement in society. The left really does think allowing criminals out of jail is good because if we just love them enough, they'll stop being criminals. The left really does think that we should be able to spend willy-nilly in an economy and not provoke inflation. And if we have inflation, just jack up everybody's taxes and inflation will go away. Nobody wants their taxes increased. The left, as willfully naive, stupid socialist policies that have wrecked the country when implemented, it's not that they want to create a crisis and not let it go to waste. It's that their policies they thought would be good and actually did provoke a crisis. And we must remind people not that they wanted to create a crisis and implement socialism, but that they tried implementing socialism and it created the crisis. And therefore, we should reject their socialist thinking. There are sadly too many people on the right now, the new right, who are embracing this socialist command and control structures. I mean, look at how many people you hear, the young guys who are hyper online in the Trump administration, who embrace things like quote unquote industrial policy set by Washington, D.C. I just think we got to be careful again and point out that they arrived at the conclusion and not actually that they're trying to provoke a crisis. Okay, now we need to go to, I may be pronouncing your name wrong, Maceo, how do I pronounce your name?
Maceo.
All right, I can't hear you. Are you on a speakerphone?
Hello, can you hear me?
Now I can hear you. Welcome.
How you doing, Mr. Eric? Hey, I have a liberal friend who says it is a lie that that Ilhan married her brother. How is it possible that she married her brother when she could have just hosted him because she was already over here? Can you explain that?
You know, I just assumed it was fact that there was a relationship, but not a relationship, like a marriage. Let's see. I'm reading this. Ilhan Omar fired back at the White House after revived a debunked claim that she married her brother, posting a viral video about the president and his ties to Ilhan Omar. I just accepted it as fact that there was an immigration issue between her and her brother. The president says that he did, that she did. I'm going to have to dive into this more on the, because, you know, I just assumed it was always fact, and the fact checkers say it's not so. So I'm going to figure this one out and during commercial break and let people know. Now, I got to move on because there was a big argument in the Supreme Court today we need to talk about. And I've been warning you guys. If you follow along with my show on a regular basis, I keep you up to date, and you're at the bleeding edge of knowledge with this program. Because I've been telling you for a year now that the president aimed to get rid of Humphrey's Executor. Humphrey's Executor is a case from the 1930s in the Supreme Court about the Federal Trade Commission and a man named Mr. Humphreys. And Mr. Humphreys died before the case was resolved, which is why it's called Humphrey's Executor. He was owed back pay. Franklin Roosevelt tossed him off the Federal Trade Commission. And the Supreme Court ruled that because the Federal Trade Commission was a quasi-independent agency that was not operating as a partisan institution, the president was precluded from firing Mr. Humphreys. Mr. Humphreys' estate was awarded back pay for his salary. You fast forward to now, and there's been a movement on the United States Supreme Court to end Humphrey's Executor, in large part because these quasi-independent agencies are within the executive branch of government. The Constitution says the executive power is vested in a president, not in a president and others, but in a president. And if you're an executive institution, the president should be able to fire you. Now, keep in mind that many of these entities the president wants to fire people from require a certain number of Democrats and Republicans be on these agencies. So if the president, for example, wants to allow another person, it's got to be submitted by the Democrats in the Senate and names and like. So he can't take over the agencies, but he can actually fire people from the agencies. The Supreme Court sounds like they're going to let him do it. Now, the big question is the Federal Reserve. There's a lot of conversation in the Supreme Court today that the Federal Reserve is actually a very independent agency, the way its board is selected, and thereby it's precluded from being a part of the conversation. But I got to tell you, I listened to the arguments in the Supreme Court today, and the lawyer for Rebecca Slaughter, she's the Democratic member of the Federal Trade Commission who Donald Trump fired. His arguments were bad. Like objectively, like legal commentators who are not partisan listened to the argument and said, that guy is way out of his league. And I said, it sounds like he went in thinking he had 5 votes to constrain the president and he didn't care to persuade. And a buddy of mine said, no, I think he went in and knew he was going to lose the case. And so he was trying to give arguments to the progressives on the court. And, you know, that might actually be the better argument there. That's what he was trying to do. The president of the United States wants to be able to fire all of these quasi-independent agency heads who are Democrats. The National Labor Relations Board, the Merit Service Pay Board, the Federal Trade Commission, all of these, the FAA, the FTC, all the 3-letter agencies. And it looks like he's going to win, by the way. it looks like he is going to win the fight in the Supreme Court, and it is obviously the case that he's going to win, because if these agencies operate on behalf of the executive, he should. Here's what the Federal Trade Commission used to do. They used to be completely independent, and it would just have a light hand in guiding trade policy and consumer affairs in the United States. But now it's partisans. Lena Khan came in for the Biden administration and operated as a proxy for the Biden administration in the Federal Trade Commission, showing just how partisan the Federal Trade Commission is. And if that is the case, then the President of the United States should be allowed to fire the partisan operatives from these entities because he is the executive power. If you don't like the fact that the president is the executive power, amend the Constitution. It takes 2/3 of both houses of Congress and 3/4 of the states, or 2/3 of the states asking for a constitutional convention, and then 3/4 of the states agreeing. But the Article 2, Section 1, Clause 1, first sentence says the executive power of the United States is vested in a president of the United States, period. If you don't like that, change the Constitution. What was interesting in the hearings before the United States Supreme Court today is the progressives on the court having to grapple with the fact that progressive ideology has allowed all of this to spill outside the bounds of the framework of the Constitution. And they were deeply concerned about how do you rein it all back in without breaking the system. I was shocked by Elena Kagan's questions today. Even Kagan kind of gets that you have spilled out of the bounds of the Constitution these days. The argument, I gotta say, the argument from the lawyer for Rebecca Slaughter, that were just dumb arguments. Like, listen, y'all, I never argued before the Supreme Court. I never took the time to get admitted to the Supreme Court, but I do know constitutional law, and his arguments were bad. You could feel, even though you couldn't see it, you could feel Sam Alito rolling his eyes in the back of his head over some of the lameness of this guy's arguments. Now, this also comes at a time the Supreme Court is about to discuss the birthright citizenship case. The Supreme Court has agreed to take up the birthright citizenship case. The president issuing an executive order saying that people born in this country after the order who were here from illegal aliens are not citizens of the United States. I think he's going to lose the case. It's not very complicated. People want to make it more complicated than it is on both sides of the argument. It's something the Supreme Court has never considered before, and I don't think the Supreme Court's actually even going to consider it on the constitutional framework. I think the Supreme Court's going to say Congress itself has operated as if the children of illegal aliens are citizens, and therefore the president can't, by executive order, undo what Congress has done without ever actually even touching the heart of the argument. If they do touch the heart of the argument, I would just note that even Clarence Thomas, when last they visited it last year, expressed skepticism on getting rid of birthright citizenship. But both sides are playing with fire before the Supreme Court. Both sides right now think that they are getting predetermined outcomes from the court, and they're not. And when you play gamesmanship with the Supreme Court on this stuff, you're going to wind up the loser. I really do actually think that the left went to the Supreme Court and thought there are 5 votes to stop the president from firing these commissions. And today they were disabused of the notion because there may be 6 votes to fire them all. In the same way, I think the Trump administration thought they could get to the Supreme Court and have them agree with him that birthright citizenship was not a thing. And I think they're going to be sorely disabused of that notion when they get there as well. The Supreme Court is the only functioning entity left in our republic, it seems like. And I can tell you, they want to maintain that. And both sides playing games with the court are not going to get what they want. Howdy, welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. 877-973-7425 is the number. Let's go to Tom. Welcome to the show, Tom. How are you?
Hey, Eric. Long-time listener since day one.
Thank you.
Enjoy the show. Yes,
Appreciate
sir. So I had the Norwegian-Swedish conflict resolved in 1954. I was 5 years old. I'm riding on my grandpa's tractor, sitting on the axle, holding on to the fender, no helmet. And I asked my grandfather, I said, what is the difference between a Swede and a Norwegian? And he pulled off the side of the road, turned the tractor off, and he said, well, Tommy, he said, a Swede is a Norwegian with his brains blown out. And I said, okay.
Wow. And, the Swedes would say the same thing.
Exactly.
For people who don't understand here, growing up Swedish background in my family, the level of like Norwegians versus Swedish animosity there, it kind of blew me away. I was like, they're all Scandinavian. No, big differences. It's like Southerners and Yankees, but even worse. The level of jokes between the two, and it's kind of wild to think. We here in this country don't think about those things. We think about like Alabama versus Georgia, Connecticut versus Massachusetts, California versus the world, and it's Norway versus Sweden. Probably more animosity there than anywhere in this country. Hillsdale College would love to get you smarter about a topic you care about, whether it's capitalism or ethics or the founding of the Republic or the Roman Empire. Everybody loves the Roman Empire, or literature, Shakespeare, C.S. Lewis, you name it. They've got 40 to choose from. You go to ericforhillsdale.com today, sign up with Hillsdale College, and you get smarter about a topic you're interested in for free. No cost to you. And again, it's ericforhillsdale.com. You sign up, you take the classes. They're 30-minute video lectures. You do it at your own pace. Depending on the class, depends on how many there are. And you get a certificate of completion. You get smarter about the topic you care about with Hillsdale's great faculty, and you see what sets them apart. Harder to get into Hillsdale now than many of the Ivy League colleges out there. Very high standards. They don't take any government money. Kids get jobs on campus to help pay for it. It's a fantastic institution. Find out more, ericforhillsdale.com. Find a topic you want and get smarter about that topic. Support a great institution. Learn about that institution, ericforhillsdale.com.